Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 18. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Kahalayim La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. All praises to our power, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom. Job chapter 36, verse 7. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yeah, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. Psalms chapter 122 and verse 4. Beginning at verse 3. Jerusalem is built as a city that's compact together. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. This is a big thing, man, because we are part of power that we can't fully comprehend right now. We are a part of something that's beyond this world, beyond this earthly realm, but it's going to be established on this earthly realm, on this earth. Okay? Because as it tells us in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. Yes, our kingdom will be on the earth, but the order, the prestige and the honor, the majesty, but beginning with the order, that's coming from the heavens. And along with that, the glory. Okay? So what we're a part of is well worth it, man. Okay? It's more than worth it.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rekahadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word of truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rekahadash. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, and what I want to get into, all right, in this lesson is this world is reserved for fire. You know, this current age, you know, that we're living in, the Lord has allowed this world, you know, to go on increasing wickedness, you know, and people are earning, you know, their judgment of fire. You know, beginning with Esau, Edom, all right, the elites, okay, with Esau, Edom, beginning with them, the rest of the nation of Esau, Edom, all right, these heathens and 2/3 of our people, where there's a judgment that's set, you know, Lord we are part of the remnant, okay, the hopeful elect, and we're a part, you know, from the judgment that the Lord's getting ready to bring to the earth, especially here in America, man, where it's going to be the worst, all right, because America has been the worst nation in the planet Earth, the most rebellious. Okay, it's been the platform for anti-Messiah. You know, the people in America are the most satanic. Okay, the most proud. You know, the most alphabet. All right, just the most rebellious against Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And that's why, the greater part of the Lord's wrath is going to be concentrated here in America. Okay, in this age, okay, this current age of today has been reserved for fire. Okay, so that's why when you go into, let's go here and get this in the NLT. Let's go to Joel chapter 2. I got a quick video I want to go into. This woman that had a dream that inspired this lesson. So you go into Joel 2:1. It says, "Sound the trumpet in Jerusalem." Okay, and who's blowing that trumpet? Okay, the prophet. Matter of fact, real quick, let's get it. It said, "Blow a trumpet in Jerusalem." And one thing our people can't say is that they wasn't warned about these times. Okay, because the Lord, has raised up a full ministry. Where his prophets, speak on these things, all right, from the morning to the night. Okay, daily, hourly. Okay, the prophets, the Lord put a spirit of urgency on the prophets to do what? Isaiah 58:1, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet. Okay, lift up thy voice. So the trumpet that's being blown is the voice, okay, of the prophets, which the prophets were nothing but vessels. Okay, of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the prophets are vessels. Okay, and through the voice of the prophet comes the warning and the teachings of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You see, through the voice of the prophet, you get the warning. Okay, you get the teachings, you get the expectations. Okay, you get the doctrine, the understanding, the breakdowns. Okay, everything required for salvation is coming through the voice of the prophets, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. It says, "And show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins." Why? Because this is a warning. Okay, this is a warning. So a trumpet, will be used for what? A warning. A horn will be used for a warning. Okay, so what's going out is, as the scriptures say, matter of fact, let's get that. Let's just get it. This is the book of the second Ezra. Let's get that in second Ezra chapter 7. Because this is a clear warning. The Lord is not giving an uncertain sound from his true men. All right. Now you have a lot of clowns out there that call themselves prophets and leaders, but the Lord is making a major separation to where, the elect will tell the difference. Okay, the elect will tell the difference between clowns and imposters. Okay, and the true prophets, man. Okay, so let's go here. And being a true prophet comes with grave responsibility, man. This is second Ezra 7, and I started at 20. Said, "For there," second Ezra 7:20, "for there be many that perish in this life because they despise the law of the Most High that is set before them." All right, and when you go into the law of the Most High, of course we can't keep, the commandments perfectly. Okay, but the two commandments, in which Yahushua gave us, love the power, love, the Lord. Okay, the Heavenly Father with all our heart, mind, and soul. Okay, and love thy neighbors thyself. Well, we can keep those, because out of love for the Father, we move in his fear. Our decision making is based on fear of reverence, all right, of our power. Okay, and we treat our neighbor as we treat ourselves, man. As we have a consideration. The truth makes us considerate. Okay, it makes us mindful. Okay, not wanting to put, our neighbor in a bad predicament, just like we won't want to be put in a bad predicament, man. The things we want done to us, okay, we wouldn't do to them, man. So when you go into that mindset, by default, you keep laws. Okay, as of course we grow, as we learn more, we get more skillful at keeping, the law to the best of our ability. Okay, and our intent is to do right. Our intent is to serve our power to the best of our ability, man. You see, but you have a lot of our people, they don't even attempt. Okay, they don't even attempt to do it. You see? So it said, for the Most High have given straight commandment to such as came what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Okay, so our people have been given straight commandment through what? Their trumpet that's being blown, which are the prophets, man. And the trumpet is blowing daily, all right, and on the hour, by the hour. Okay? So there's no excuse for our people, as Yahushua told J. Lou, you don't have no cloak for your sin, because the horn been blowing. The Lord been blowing their trumpet continually, man. Okay? And our people have been given straight commandment to such as came what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should do to avoid punishment, man. So our people have a clear understanding, okay, of what to do to avoid punishment and to live, man. But a lot of our people refuse. Okay, so when you go back here, okay, the trumpet, which is the prophets, okay, is constantly being blown. So you go back to Joel 2, and what's their main warning? All right, because the climax of the wrath of the Lord is the nukes in Yahushua. Okay, that's going to be the climax of the Lord's wrath, man. You see? So when you get into Joel 2:1, sound of trumpet in Jerusalem, raise the alarm on my holy mountain. Let everyone tremble in fear, because the day of the Lord is near upon us, man. And that time is near. The Lord getting ready to judge, man. You see, these events that we see happening and things are speeding up, okay? The Lord is really putting the spirit on Esau to roll this thing out. Okay, and as Esau is just tempting his new world order, well, the Lord, all right, is setting great judgment in the earth, man. Okay, the day of the Lord is upon us, man. The time, the second coming of Yahushua, and the build up to that day, okay, is going to be that time of tribulation, a time like never before, man. The earth is going to go through the worst time there's ever been since it existed, man. And there's been some bad times in the planet Earth, man. That's a hell of a statement, okay, for the Lord to pronounce that this is going to be the baddest day ever, the baddest time ever, man. Okay? That means the Most High is more pissed than ever, man. Okay? Joel 2:2 says it was a day of darkness and gloom, a day of thick clouds and deep blackness, man, and this that nuclear destruction. Okay? These clouds, man, these mushroom clouds. Okay, it's gonna be very, very dark, man. Spiritually and literally, man. It's gonna be dark. Okay. Suddenly, like the dawn spreading across the mountains, a great and mighty army appears, and that's those missiles, man. They're going to appear, okay, over the skies of America like an army, like a mighty army. They're just going to appear. You're just going to start seeing them coming and re-entering into the atmosphere, man. It's going to appear over the skies of America like a mighty army. Nothing like it has been seen before or will ever be seen again. Yeah, because there'll never be a nuclear buildup in the earth. These nations won't have weapons of war in the kingdom. That's why the Lord says, spare no arrows, man. They're going to shoot off every missile. Okay, every nuclear missile be shot off, man. Hey, and remember, it's the Lord, all right, that's doing this, man. So it says spare no arrows, so every nuke is going to be shot off, man. Okay, or will ever be seen again. Fire burns in front of them, and flame follow after them, all right? Propel it to its destination. That's going to propel these warheads to their destination, man. Over here in America, it says ahead of them, the land lies as beautiful as the Garden of Eden. Okay, locking into a paradise, locking America into a paradise, man. A great city that has been built up. Behind them, after they hit, is nothing but desolation. Not one thing escapes. Okay, not one thing escapes. Okay, the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and that includes the people in it. Okay, everything, all right, will be vaporized, all right, and liquidated. Okay. The Lord finna turn this place to a desert with people in it. You see, that's the anger of the Lord, man. All right, especially in America, man. You see, the most anti-Messiah, the most rebellious, wicked landmass in the earth, man. Okay, said they look like horses. They charge forward like war horses, man. Yeah, so he's describing these chariots like horses, man, which is their power, all right, their speed. Okay, it's Joel. He's describing it the best as he could, but he's seeing, okay, the sky covered over America with thermonuclear missiles. This is what he's seeing, and he's describing it, okay, with, you know, the technology of his time, you know, the weapons of war of his time. It says, look at them as they leap along the mountains, coming over them horizons. You see, listen to the noise they make, like rumbling of chariots. Okay, so it sounds like horses running. You know, when you hear them missiles, you know, it sounds like horses running, man. It says, like a roar of fire sweeping across a field of stubble, or like a mighty army moving into battle. Fear grips all the people. Every face grows pale with terror, man. Ground Zero America, man, and you've been warned about the nuclear destruction, okay, for years, and you look up and the warheads on the way. Okay, they're gonna be coming quick. You're not gonna have long. It's gonna seem long because of that fear, that moment. You know, the missiles gonna come up on you quick, man. And you realize what that is, and there's no escape. That moment you realize what this is coming, and there's no escape. It said the attackers marched like warriors and scaled city walls like soldiers. Straight forward they marched, never breaking their rank. Yeah, every missile in this perfect trajectory that the Lord has it on, man. Because this the Lord's judgment. The Lord said what? He's gonna open up the weapons of his indignation. All right, that's why they're gonna have their precision. Okay, they're gonna have their destructive power. These are the Lord's. These are the weapons of the Lord's indignation. He tapped into Esau and tap into nuclear physics. Okay, the atomic weaponry, nuclear weaponry. Okay, because when you go into the nuclear, all right, missile, where it takes a atomic explosion to start that nuclear reaction in that nuclear missile, man. That nuclear chain reaction. Okay, and it was the Most High who allowed the devil to tap in, because he put his fear, he put his wrath on Esau to come up with that weapon, man. You know, scripture speak about how, you know, the Lord gives men their instruction as they slumber. Okay, so the Lord that instructed Esau to come up with his weaponry, okay, and for this weaponry to be mass produced and given to, all right, several nations throughout the earth for the judgment in this place, man. Okay, so they never jostle each other. Each move in exactly the right position. They break through defenses without missing a step. Yeah, there's no missile defense for the judgment of the Lord. Okay, they were damn high tech. Okay, there's no missile defense for the judgment of the Lord. It says they swarm over the cities and run along its walls. They enter all houses, climbing in like thieves through windows. You see? So when them explosions, all them explosions is back to back. Okay, it's gonna this fire is gonna touch every corner of America, man. There's not gonna be one piece of building where fire not gonna touch. Okay, there's not gonna be nothing that's unscathed from this fire, man. Okay, it's gonna burn everything in America, man. It's gonna touch everything in America, man. The Lord's anger gonna touch everything. All right, every little corner, every little, you know, a millimeter, okay, of a building, of any object, any person, man. Okay, is that fire gonna cover? You see, it said the earth quakes as they advance, the heavens tremble, the sun and moon, all right, grows dark, and the stars no longer shine. You see that? Okay, because these missiles are going to blot out the sky. All right, and sun and moon goes into wisdom and understanding, and you people's understanding, okay, is going to be gone. Okay, you people that had some type of hope in America, you people that was content. Okay, you people that mocked the prophets, well, your wisdom and understanding gonna be gone in that moment. You're gonna have to deal with what is now. Okay, and it says the Lord is at the head of the column. Yeah, so the spirit of the Lord is going to be leading these missiles to their destination. Okay, that's why none shall break their rank. They're not going to hit against each other. No, they all have a specific assignment. Each warhead has a specific assignment of destruction, man. And the Lord gonna make sure of it. All right, He leads them with a shout. This is His mighty army, and they follow His orders. Okay, these missiles, everything obey the Lord's will, man. All right, and these missiles are like an army. All right, this is an extension. This is a branch of the Lord's army. Okay, and they're coming for a mighty destruction, man. It says, and they follow His orders. All right, who have resisted His will. You see, it said the day of the Lord is an awesome, terrible thing. Who can possibly survive, man? Okay, and the only ones that going to survive in America is the elect. That's going in those chariots, man. You know, and this is what we here for, man. We want to get in them chariots, man. We want mercy. You know, we want mercy from this, man. You know, that's why it's time now to be pleasing to the Lord more than ever. Kiss the Son, lest He be angry, and you perish in the way when His anger is kindled just a little. When you go into Psalms, the 2nd chapter, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to get this video real quick. Okay, and then we'll get some more precepts. But let's go here. This is from the brother. All right, Arrows of Indignation. So like you don't know the brother name. If somebody knows the name, they can put it in the comment board. But let's play this real quick.
I feel like the Lord gives us warnings before war comes. If you look in the Bible, you can see that God gave warnings to prophets and to dreamers. And I have been having dreams, and they have been so many warnings that there's war coming to America. Before I started having these dreams, I didn't really believe that the end time or war would happen in my lifetime. I've heard of it, but I just didn't think that it would happen in my lifetime. And I feel as though God started giving me these dreams because He wanted me to know that He is coming soon. And I believe that I'm going to share these in hope that you too can start to realize that God's coming soon. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this dream. In this dream that I was having, the location was very important to me. I just knew that I was in a desert, and it was a suburbs in the desert. It kind of felt like maybe Arizona or California. I know that it was livable, but there was also the heat of desert sands, and it just had you could look down and see sand, you could look out and see sand, there were palm trees. And then everyone was stepping outside of their houses, looking up into the sky. And as we were looking up, there was this beautiful, beautiful rainbow. And the rainbow was so vibrant. It was so vibrant that it lit up the sky in this like pink hue. And I was like, wow. And I had my kids. I was like, look, guys, there's a rainbow. And we looked up, and then we kind of turned the corner, and it was like an M, like a McDonald's arch. There were two rainbows, and they were just so beautiful. And everyone was coming outside to look at the rainbows. And then all of a sudden, bursting through the rainbow comes three or four. They took everyone by surprise. I just remember everyone was like, what is that? What is that? And so we were looking around, and then I turn around and I look behind me, and I'm like, it's a missile, it's a bomb. And everyone's just running, and you could hear frantic screaming, and we're running. And then all of a sudden, the missile, I can feel the heat of it hit behind me, and it hits the ground, and then there's just billows of heat and sand, and I can, in my dream, I could feel it so much that it still sticks with me. And so the dream shifts, and it's all of a sudden I'm in my house, and I see this foreign lady, and she speaks English, but it's not American accent. And she's searching my house for possible weapons. That was all I knew. I just knew that she was looking for a weapon. And I woke up.
Yeah, man. And that's why I went into that Joel, because if there, people coming out and look at the rainbow, they're admiring the rainbow, and through the rainbow comes missiles, man. Because showing you that, these missiles are going to launch, and it's going to be a average day in America, man. And people think they're going to be in a good case, man. As scriptures speak about, the days of Noah. Now, when you go into that rainbow, she said the missiles came to the rainbow, it made me think of the book of Genesis chapter 9, because that rainbow is a sign that the Lord gave to Noah that he wouldn't flood the earth anymore. Okay. he didn't say he wasn't gonna nuke it. You see? Okay. Showing you that this is the days before Noah. Okay, this is the time before Noah. Genesis 9:8, it says, and Most High spake unto Noah and his sons with him, saying, all right, and I behold, it says, and I behold, I establish a covenant with you and your seed after you, all right, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more, all right, by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And the Most High said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud and set it for a token and for a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And that bow is speaking of a rainbow. And what did these devils do? They made the rainbow a flag of wickedness, man. Okay? But it's spiritual because that same behavior, which represents the rainbow, the same is going to be the behavior that brings on the judgment of Sodom, because he said he won't flood the earth again, but he said Sodom will be an example of what will happen to people that live after that manner. So when you go to, let's go here to 2 Peter, he's going to flood America with fire. That's why America is also known as a lake of fire in the scriptures, man. Because he's going to flood this place with fire. So he's not going to flood it with water again. He's going to flood America with fire. Okay? And we in those times, all right, before Noah. Okay? This is before the times of Noah, before the judgment. And this is 2 Peter 2:5 in the NLT. It says, and the Most High did not spare the ancient world except for Noah and the 7 others in his family. Okay, and the only people that's going to be spared in America is the remnant. Noah represents the remnant, and you're going to have brothers, all right, and some brothers' families, man, are going to be covered. It said Noah warned the world of the Most High's righteous judgment. So the Most High protected Noah when he destroyed the world of ungodly people with a vast flood. And there's going to be a remnant that's going to be protected. They're going to be in those new arks, the chariots, those flying arks. Okay, he said later the Most High condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and turned them into heaps of ashes. He made them an example of what would happen to ungodly people. You see, Sodom and Gomorrah was an example of what would happen to ungodly people. And what did these ungodly people do? They took on the flag of the rainbow. Okay, they took on the banner of the rainbow. Okay, so that was a sign of great rebellion, of pride. All right, and the Lord gonna turn America to Sodom and Gomorrah on steroids, man. The judgment that's coming to America, man. You know, it's gonna make Sodom and Gomorrah, all right, look like a like a firecracker, man. Okay, something small. You see, so this place is reserved for judgment. You see, so you go here. Let's get this in 2 Peter 3. All right, this 2 Peter 3. And 3 says, most importantly, I want to remind you that in the last days, scoffers will come, mocking the truth and following their own desires. They will say, what happened to the promise that Yahweh Shai is coming? From before the times of our ancestors, everything has remained the same since the world was first created. See, I said, people don't have to verbalize this. Their actions show. You know, people live, all right, as if prophecy doesn't exist, as if the Lord's anger ain't kindled against this place. You know, how people live. You know, people continue on, okay, in rebellion. You see, you don't have to verbalize your rebellion; you just live it. You see, and your actions show that you're saying, you know, what happened to the promise of Yahweh Shai, which we know the second coming of Yahweh Shai is with great judgment. Okay, verse 5 it said they deliberately forgot that the Most High made the heavens long ago by the word of His command, and He brought the earth out of the water. Okay, and the lands, you know, they were created, you know, they emerged, okay, from under the water. All right, He created land, all right, and surrounded it with water, which is the atmosphere. Okay, and that's why the flood, He just opened up the atmosphere, man, and just let it, you know, flood the earth. It said, then He used the water to destroy the ancient world with a mighty flood. And by the same word, the present heavens and earth, all right, this current age, you see, have been stored up for fire. They are being kept for the day of judgment when ungodly people will be destroyed, man. So this place is kept unto fire. You see, there's a great fire of judgment that's coming to this place. Okay, He's not going to flood the whole world. You know, there's going to be floods. All right, well, it's not going to be a global flood that floods the whole earth. Okay, you still have floods, but a flood on that scale that judge everything, everybody, everything living. Okay, well, that's not going to happen. Okay, but America, all right, is reserved for fire. Okay, these ungodly people are reserved for fire, man. You know, and the Lord keeps showing it. You know, a lot of people having these dreams, man. Okay, and there goes Joel's 2nd chapter, man. You see, so that's the point. Just wanted to touch on that, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you few sisters are edified. Once again, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.